Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Michael Gaunt. I'm from Mott MacDonald. I'm an information manager, and I'm here this evening to present to you SafetIBase on behalf of a wide range of industry partners that you can see on the bottom of the slide there. So, why do we need SafetIBase? What is the problem that we're trying to solve here? Well, the problem we're trying to solve is with regards to health and safety information. And that's health and safety information that at the moment is unstructured, it's disconnected, and it's complicated. And what do I mean by that? Well, I'm sure we've all worked on projects, I certainly have, where health and safety information is transferred between parties on Excel sheets. That works well maybe on a small project where there's a straightforward program, but when changes start to be introduced, those Excel sheets are going backward and forwards, the risks are being communicated between parties, and it quickly becomes confusing who exactly owns that risk and what they need to do to mitigate it. And we identified that it was quite a serious issue in the industry, and so did many of our project partners. One of the other main challenges we found was with the recent release of PAS 1192 Part 6, was that there wasn't technology out there to effectively visualize these health and safety risks, whether that be in our BIM models or whether that might be on a GIS system. And the third thing that we found was that we'd identified some really good solutions on some of our recent projects, but we found it a real challenge to take that from one project and to the next, whether that would be commercial issues, technical issues. We found there were good things out there, but it was a real challenge to reuse them. And because of that, everyone is effectively reinventing the wheel on every project. So the solution that we came up with is SafetIBase. So SafetIBase is a simple to use, open source health and safety database. It allows you to communicate, to manage, and to visualize health and safety risks. So what health and safety SafetIBase brings? It brings structured data with a common schema. It allows data to be connected, and it's simple. We want this to be really easy to use for projects of any size. This isn't just about major projects, this is about projects of any size to be able to pick this up and to be able to use it on their projects. Stopping people reinventing the wheel, pushing out a common data structure, and hopefully making our lives easier. So, the journey so far, where has this come from? So firstly, I just wanted to talk about the team. You'll have seen on the bottom of the slide there that there is quite a lot of project partners. So this has come about through the I3P, so the Industry Innovation Forum, where companies, clients, designers, contractors have all come together because we've all identified that this is an issue on our projects to develop this open source solution. So we then got together as a project group and we applied to the I3P Spark competition. So we applied for some funding to be able to develop this as a solution. So our project plan, it was broken down into 3 stages. So phase 1 was all about identifying the existing solutions that we had, bringing those to the project group and identifying how we could effectively connect those together. So we had some good ideas from some of the recent major infrastructure programs, but we also went through a user requirements exercise. The next phase was about bringing that and integrating that into an open source solution and connecting it through to a 3D model environment, which I'll talk about shortly. Phase 3, we haven't got there yet. We've got some great ideas of what it might look like, but we think once we get this data into a common structure, there are some really great things that we can do. Why shouldn't people be able to go onto the project and, if you're building a new hospital, understand what risks might be applicable to that hospital? Rather than having to have experienced people that have already worked in that industry and relying on that knowledge, why can't we know from previous projects what might be applicable? Hopefully improving the way that we do things in the industry. So, what actually is SafetIBase? So SafetIBase, it's a simple solution and it's built up with a SharePoint database and a 3D repo, the model viewing functionality. So either one can be used alone. You could just use the SharePoint site if you don't have a model interface, and you could just use the 3D repo site if you are not particularly interested in the SharePoint site. But the key is that the two of them will connect together, because we found a real frustration in our model review sessions that we would open a model, we would then have to go to our Excel database And then how do you actually visualize that? So we say, great, we'll put in some X, Y, and Z coordinates, but if you're in an actual live meeting and you're having to write down the X, Y, Z coordinate of every risk, and you're picking up 4,000, it's quite time consuming. So the 3D repo element allows us to go straight to the model, click where the risk is, and then update the database. So it's all about being efficient, simple to use for the end user. The 3D repo functionality is complete, so that was released on Friday, so you can go and you can use that now. And the SharePoint site, we're about 75% complete and nearly there with that functionality. So in terms of the current status and the actual rollout, like I said, the 3D repo integration, it's actually here, so released on Friday, and you can see an example of that on the screen now. So that just shows how you can open your model, go through the issues tracker, identify a hazard, give it its initial risk, and then give it its residual risk once you've considered the mitigation. Update that throughout the project lifecycle, and then also it's got a workflow attached to it. So that's the 3D repo element, and I'm sure the 3D repo guys will be delighted to show you some more about it later today. In terms of the SharePoint site, like I said, we're about 75% of the way there, but I just wanted to touch on some of the key functionalities. So the first one, this has come from projects that are running now, and this has been in its various forms on live projects now for 3 years. So it's built by engineers, it's been tested by engineers and contractors, and through that process we've actually resolved a lot of the issues we had along the way. So we do believe it's a system that can be rolled out and used pretty much straight away. Other key things, notification system, a workflow to communicate that from the designer through to the contractor, incorporate the temporary works, and then through onto operations. It can be used independent of models. We've really thought about the end user. It's got to be really simple to use, so we've worked on the user interface. Strong search functionality was something that we found as a particular problem. You know, some of these projects, we've got 4,000 plus risks. We need to be able to identify these hazards quickly in our risk reduction and coordination meetings. Export functionality, because we understand that actually, in many cases, this will probably have to work with legacy systems that are already there. It's going to be available for anyone in the industry. So it's funded through the I3P. So I'll talk about how it will be available shortly, but the idea is it's there for anyone to be able to pick this up and use this straight away. It's got integration with temporary works and RAMs. And finally, it's got integration as well with the RAG list. So not only does this allow you to mitigate your risks, but it's also about proposing to you alternative solutions during that mitigation process. So assist in that mitigation process, which on a lot of the projects I work on now, that's given from the client, so we can build it into the system. So in terms of the next steps, like I said, the 3D repo functionality is available now. We have a lot of partner companies. I know there's quite a few people from those companies here today. So part of that group is that they will identify a number of projects to work on, such that once we've rolled this out, in 6 months we'll actually have a lot of projects using this, and that's hopefully going to assist the uptake. The SharePoint site will be completed soon with that bi-directional link. And really, we want anybody to be using this across the industry. That's why the I3P and the Knowledge Network have invested in this. So if you want any more information, see SafetIBase.com for the latest program. And then in terms of that phase 2, so what we might do next, I guess if you're interested and you see value in this, then please get in touch and let's see how we can actually bring more people into that partner group to run this forward. So thank you very much for your time. I hope that you found that interesting, and if you do want any more information, it's on the screen there, SafetIBase.com. The Twitter handle is SafetIBase, and the plug for i3p is i3p.org.uk, because there's loads of great ideas, and this is about sharing it across the industry. So thank you very much.